If you're ready to dive deep into Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy and how it still speaks volumes in our modern world, then you're in the right place. Today, we're zooming in on a concept that Nietzsche believed was fundamental in becoming what he called the Übermensch, or in simpler terms, the Superman. Now, you might be wondering, what does Nietzsche mean by Übermensch? Picture this: someone who's not held back by society's ideas of right and wrong, who doesn't just follow the rules because they're supposed to. This person creates their own values, their own purpose, and lives their life with an intensity and freedom most of us only dream of. That's the Übermensch. Nietzsche saw this as the ultimate goal for humanity, a kind of self-actualization beyond anything that society could define for us. Judgment, our birthright. First things first, let's reframe judgment. Judgment isn't some negative quality we should suppress. It's an instinct, a survival tool embedded in us since the dawn of humanity. As we explore in our article, judgment isn't an obstacle, it's a gift. The ability to judge is our birthright, and Nietzsche saw this as one of the fundamental aspects of becoming an Übermensch. The Übermensch doesn't reject judgment, they refine it, using it to navigate life more clearly and powerfully. Judgment as a tool for survival. So why is judgment so important? At its core, judgment is about survival. Imagine our ancestors on the African savannas. They needed judgment to assess whether a situation was safe or life-threatening. In today's world, the stakes might not be life or death in the same way, but the principle still holds. We use judgment to figure out who we want to be around, which career paths align with our values, and how we want to spend our time. The polar nature of existence. If you think about it, the world is built on dualities: light and dark, good and evil, happiness and sorrow. For Nietzsche, these opposing forces aren't obstacles but opportunities, and understanding them is essential in becoming what he called the Übermensch, or the Superman. Living in a world of opposites. Let's start with this idea of polarity. It's everywhere. Our world is inherently made up of opposing forces. Life and death, success and failure, love and hate. Each concept has its counterpoint. As we discuss in our article, we live in a polar world. Everything has an opposite or a number two. This duality shapes how we understand the world and make sense of our experiences. But Nietzsche's take on polarity goes deeper. He believed that these opposites are not simply black and white choices we should blindly accept or avoid. Instead, the Übermensch, or the Superman, is someone who understands these dualities and learns to navigate them with wisdom and discernment. The Übermensch doesn't fall into the trap of seeing the world in rigid terms of good or bad. They understand that wisdom lies somewhere in the gray areas between these extremes. The power of good judgment in a polar world. So, how does understanding polarity help us? This is where judgment comes in. When we recognize that every concept has its opposite, we can make more informed, thoughtful choices. Nietzsche saw judgment as the key to unlocking our potential, allowing us to see beyond superficial labels like right and wrong. The Übermensch hones their judgment to discern not only what aligns with their values, but also what's genuinely valuable in life. Embracing the power of situational judgment. The Übermensch isn't concerned with fitting into society's moral standards. Instead, they develop their own values based on personal experiences, insights, and most importantly, the demands of each situation. The Übermensch has learned that sometimes breaking away from rigid morals is necessary to achieve true greatness. The role of compassion in becoming the Übermensch. Compassion, in this context, isn't about pity or feeling sorry for others. It's about accepting the imperfections in ourselves and in others without resentment. The Übermensch sees beyond the labels of good and bad and understands that human behavior is complex. People make mistakes out of ignorance, fear, or lack of experience. Things that aren't necessarily wrong in a moral sense, but simply part of the human experience. Let's take some practical steps to make this philosophy real in our lives. 1. Embrace your judgment. First up, embrace your judgment. Judgment isn't a flaw or a trait to hide. It's a fundamental aspect of our humanity. For Nietzsche, judgment is our way of making sense of the world, discerning what aligns with our values and what doesn't. But rather than judging others rashly or based on societal norms, refine your judgment through self-reflection. Ask yourself why you think what you do and how it aligns with your own values, not just what you've been taught to believe. 2. Recognize duality. The world isn't black and white, and the Übermensch knows that well. Train yourself to see both sides of every situation. Recognizing duality means understanding that strengths can also be weaknesses, virtues can turn into vices, and no action is inherently good or bad. This way of thinking lets you step out of simplistic moral judgments and see situations in a more nuanced way. The more you appreciate life's polarities, the better your decisions and understanding become. 3. Transcend conventional morality. This step might feel a bit rebellious. Question societal norms and start creating your own values. Nietzsche argued that the Übermensch doesn't live by conventional morality, but instead forges their own path based on personal insights and experiences. Think about what's genuinely meaningful to you, not just what's expected. This is your life to shape, so don't be afraid to break away from the norms that don't resonate with you. 4. Develop flexible thinking. One of the most powerful tools of the Übermensch is flexibility. This doesn't mean being indecisive. It means knowing when different situations call for different approaches. Developing flexible thinking means adjusting your values and responses based on the demands of each situation without losing sight of your core principles. 5. Cultivate compassion. As powerful as the Übermensch is, compassion plays a crucial role. But it's not about pitying others or excusing harmful actions. Instead, it's about understanding the reasons behind people's choices. Recognize that people often act out of fear, ignorance, or pain. The Übermensch doesn't judge from a high horse, but with empathy for human fallibility. Compassion allows for clear judgment without resentment, seeing humanity for what it is and accepting it. 6. Practice self-overcoming. For Nietzsche, the Übermensch is constantly evolving. Self-overcoming is the drive to continually challenge yourself and seek growth. This means identifying areas where you can improve, setting goals that push you forward, and learning from your setbacks. Becoming the Übermensch isn't about perfection. It's about relentlessly pursuing personal growth and never settling. 7. Embrace responsibility. The Übermensch isn't afraid to own their decisions. Taking responsibility for your choices and the consequences they bring is essential. This also means not hiding behind societal rules or blaming others for your decisions. The Übermensch stands by their choices and accepts the weight of their judgment fully. It's about living with integrity and facing life head-on. 8. Seek knowledge. Judgment without knowledge is blind. Continuously educate yourself about human nature, psychology, philosophy, whatever deepens your understanding of the world. Expanding your knowledge base sharpens your judgment and allows you to approach life's challenges with wisdom rather than assumptions. Becoming the Übermensch isn't about reaching an endpoint. It's a lifelong journey of growth, self-discovery, and creating a life of depth and meaning. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, press the subscribe button, and also drop your thoughts in the comment section.